two. 1 2 1 2. We're just checking sound live from San Francisco. Let me turn up the mic here, and we'll get you to introduce yourself and say a couple of words here while I sort of get this dialed in.
My name is Art McConville. I'm Nez Perce Cayuse from along the Columbia River. I presently live in Pendleton. I associate and hang out part of the AIM chapter in Portland. And we drove down here last night to be part of this gathering in San Francisco here. And we're hopefully trying to bring together a little more unity and clarification about our purpose in this world as not only AIM members, but as Native people, and let everyone know that we're doing what we can while we're here.
And what is going on in Portland that AIM folks are working on?
Well, they're doing quite a bit of things. They're providing security to a lot of events, youth and elder events in the community, powwows. The other day they sponsored an elder dinner, and just anything that's going on in the community. They're part of that Hands Across the Bridge project. It's a rehab project and includes the whole city of Vancouver and Portland, and just kind of looking out for whatever they can do to support the community, specifically Native community, but not necessarily just that, and become a known helper, someone that can pray for them and hold ceremonies. A lot of us go inside the prisons for their powwows to support their prisoners, and we associate with some other organizations that are doing more intensive work throughout the state in the prisons.
For folks that aren't aware of what AIM has done and what is AIM doing, maybe you could give us a little bit of an update or an insight as to what AIM is and their function. I mean, you mentioned that a lot of what the work is community support.
Yeah, that's what it originally started out to be, because there was a lot of problems in any country at that time. A lot of mistreatment and maltreatment, a lot of rights being denied and taken away, a lot of excessive force being used on the people in general across the country. And small fractions of local natives and different communities got together and they formed this organization, and it was intended to provide support and help them provide support in the communities and help them protect their rights, obtain their rights, bring awareness across the country, so that everybody would know what they were trying to do. But it just grew into a national organization. A lot of things happened. A lot of sometimes force was used at times, mostly kind of instigated, I thought, because they were trying to regain or obtain their rights, and this country seemed like it's never wanted us here in the first place, so they keep trying to get rid of us. And if you stand up and be strong to them, then they, especially organized strong, this country doesn't like it. There's a lot of resistance, and even today, you see it.
And if you had a message to the people, what would that be?
Well, I think we need to quit listening to the greater society out there about how we should be or even how they should be, but instead seek the ways of our elders, seek a lot of unity and unification of our peoples, because their whole intent is to keep us divided, fighting each other, and unless we organize into a unified group, nothing's ever going to happen. We're just going to keep going on like that.
Once again, we're speaking with
Art McConville.
And you're from?
I'm living in Pendleton. I'm Nez Perce.
All right. Well, thank you for being here.
Sure, you're very welcome.
Great. Well, we are live here in San Francisco with the American Indian Movement, and we'll have another person come in, and we'll just continue chit-chatting with folks as we wait for everything to get started. Okay. The room is starting to fill up, and yeah. And we'll adjust the mic here.
There, I'm fine.
That's good. Okay, and maybe we get you to introduce yourself and tell us what's going on in your world.
Yeah, day, Benny. My name is Jean Whitehorse. I'm from New Mexico. I'm Navajo, and I came here to attend the conference again. I was here last year, and actually, I used to be in the area on the Bureau of Indian Affairs relocation back from February 1969 all the way to 1973. So when they took the island over on November the 20th, I went over there 2 weeks afterwards to find out what was going on because when I came, I was only 19 and I turned 20 here. And, from where I was coming from is, a lot different. So I had to, really find out what was going on because all my life I've been in a boarding school and I didn't really know anything about myself. So when I came here to the Bay Area, that's where I found out what it means to be a member of a tribe. Not just being Indian because people call us Indians. We're different groups. We have our language, we have our cultural tradition, our songs and ceremony. It's all different. But when we came here, we were all, like all in one pot. But then we learned about each other. We learned our history. We learned out who we were, or at least for me, that's, what happened to me. After I came here, I had to find out where I was coming from because in the boarding school, we weren't taught that. We were studying everybody else's history but our own. And we were told not to speak our language at the boarding school. But, all these years, I never forgot it. I still speak my language, which is, a great value to everybody, and especially to our, our tribal people. So,
You spoke about, learning what it means to be tribal. I
yeah.
think maybe you could elaborate. Tell us a little bit more about, you know, just being Indian is one thing, but actually having a dynamic life within a tribal community. Maybe you could explain a little bit about what
Oh,
that means.
okay. For me, like I said, I'm from with the Navajo tribe. People call it Dene. Dene. It's both. And what I was, talking about is like after I came here, I was just considered as another Indian. But when I came here, I found out about my own history and my own, cultural and all that. So, and we're all different. We're all different. We're all stereotyped right now. They think we all live in teepees. We all speak the same language, but we're different. Like for my tribe, I come from the southwest, the Four Corners area. And we have our own language, we have our land, and we have our own government, and our ceremonies are a lot different than other tribal ceremonies. So that's what I was saying. And up to this day, our young people need to know that we have to be proud of who we are and where we're coming from.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is where we're going to is the other component to that. And I think within the context of the climate change and what's going on in the environment, a lot of folks are looking for the traditional indigenous ways to sort of lead, so to speak, back into a more civilized, as you
Uh-huh.
will, a way of being. Maybe technology isn't necessarily the right road.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about the differences between traditional knowledge and the world that we live in today.
Okay. About my tradition and our tradition, we are, very much different. We try and we are, living our ways on the land back home on the reservation. And we are also trying to teach our children, the way of life, a better way of life, and not just technology, because everybody's into technology now, and I myself, know a bit about technology, but when it comes to young children, I want them to learn their language, their prayers, their song, to keep our traditional alive, and also about living out in the community, where on our land a lot of our people still don't have running water, still don't have electric, and our grandfathers and grandmothers are, comfortable living like that. They don't want to be confined into a housing area. They want to be in their own homeland where they can still collect the plants that they use for food and for medicine. And our children need to learn this, because if they don't learn it, our tradition is not going to continue. And really, I talk about that during the summer when I have a chance to talk to the young people, how important it is to learn their tradition, to keep their language, and to keep their culture. A lot of time people say that we're losing our language, but we're not. As long as people like me, the grandmothers, the grandfathers are still here, our language is still here. It's just that we're losing our children. There's, the contact between the grandparents and the children is fading away. And like I said, I try to, talk to my young people back home on the Navajo reservation that our language was used to win World War II. My father's a Navajo code talker, and they use our Navajo language to, win the war. And it's very important that they know that.
Well, and also I think the language itself embeds a certain consciousness of respect and reciprocity that it doesn't quite come into the English language. Everything is externalized, whereas I think with the indigenous language, there's more of a continuity of consciousness between all living things that's sort of embedded within the context of understanding.
Yes, Our language is very powerful. Our language is very sacred. When you speak your own language, you're more in contact with the universe, with the environment, and you're in harmony with the universe. If we speak English, we don't quite understand each other. When we speak our own language, our language, it says a lot for us. We always say in Navajo, which means we live in harmony with our surrounding, with our environment. So our language is very important for the young people to learn. It means like one word in Navajo means like 3 or 4 words in English. So the language is very powerful, and it's, and I want my young people to keep learning it, to keep speaking it.
If you had something that you would like to communicate to the larger public, maybe you could do it in Navajo. Tell us a story or convey some ideas.
Okay. Shekwadon ben yashti igi eti den haachine. Abe bezadi yashti okot au e bayat e halan hin hizadi gi be hitits amasanado a chain lini kot aba achine hitits kina dan hit chineta e kot au ni hizad kina ni hizalia. Ako erigi ekot abe nasi kato. Ata nila khawda shi hol jishon hizad bi khay kago to the nani lida to lestan. Ako ebeni na she yan le ho wanda achine beje khasiho. Ni hizad beta hol khala ni hizad ekot abe nasi kha be kot the nani liti no ekot abe itnije. Ni hizadi ginde kot to na kikuna da kicho ka da kot be honezna akho bi khay khago edon khayat ehtato adon henat anin linde to kot yego ni hizad kot be yatalt akho belagana edo hojon yego ni hia has twido sanido yego yitits ada kot she kot be yashti hehla.
All right. And what would you like to say to the English-speaking people out there? What would be your message, wishes, visions, or intentions that you would like to share with folks?
Well, what I like to see in the future is to keep our community intact. I know there's a lot of things that are enticing our young people. It's the young people that I'm really concerned about because in our Navajo way we say our future leaders are our children. And if they are going to be the future leaders, they need to know where they are going to be leading us. In a couple of years from now, I'm going to be depending on my leaders. So I like to stress again that, our language, our culture, our tradition is very important. And for the people that are in the government role, the leadership role, I want them to understand how important it is for us to remain as a tribe, and it's very important that we keep our tribe together, our self-government, our self-determination. That's what we are here for. We're talking about how important it is to be a sovereign nation because that's who we are. We're different tribes. We're different tribe. Even here today, we're different from each other, but we all come together. We all have the same ideas and the same goal is to move forward, but we need to keep our language, our tradition, and ceremonies intact. And I like to say this too, that our ceremony is important to us. So when a non-native is practicing our ceremony and they make a mistake or something happen, it reflects back on us. So, we respect your tradition, respect our tradition too. Thank you.
All right. And once again, we're speaking with.
Jean Whitehorse. I'm from New Mexico. I'm from the Nen Nation, and I'm here to be with my brothers and sisters. I was here, like I said, back from February 1969 to March 1973, and I was on the island 2 weeks after the takeover, and I've been here, for a long time. And I was here at 19 years old when everything was going on. There was the Black Panther in Oakland. I lived in Oakland. There was the Vietnam protests in Berkeley. I went there to look, witness that. There was the hippie movement in San Francisco. I know about that. It was a very colorful movement. I think it was, a lot of harmony in that, even though it was different. And of course, the American Indians that took over Alcatraz. I was there, and I'm glad I was there. So when I talk about my experience, I'm always saying I was at the right place at the right time at the Bureau of Indian Affairs expense. They sent me here to learn about myself. And thank you very much.
And thank you so much for joining us here. And I think you bring up an interesting point when you mention the American Indian movement, the Black Panthers, the hippies, the Vietnam War resistance. Martin Luther King had just been, the whole issue with that, and Robert Kennedy assassination, Malcolm X. It was very tumultuous times for everyone. And the mobilization of the young people all across and throughout the different cultures, I think is pretty phenomenal event. And the way the U.S. government responded with its heavy-handed militaristic COINTELPRO. We still have Leonard Peltier in prison, as well as other political prisoners. And as well as the psychological shock of recognizing, the sort of fascist governmental policies and that we're still trying to break out of. We still have wars.
Talking about government policy, I studied the law for a year. I wanted to be a tribal advocate, so I studied the federal Indian law. The way I understand it, that is set up and designed so Congress can use it. It's not really designed to protect us. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Hold on for a second. Now I've got to find
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you again. Okay.
Okay, you're here. We're here live at the American Indian Movement AIM West um, conference, the international gathering here, and we have another guest with us. Maybe we could get you to introduce yourself and let us know what's going on in your world.
My is Naxil Isquist Ipat Chakinson Eichkst. My name is Yvonne Swan, and I am from the Arrow Lakes Nation, and I'm enrolled with the Colville Confederated Tribes in Washington State. My motherland is in southeastern British Columbia, and I came down Friday from Spokane for the conference and to participate in everything going on this week during this month.
And what's happening up in your part of the world?
I belong to Visions for Our Future, which is an independent environmental group on the Colville Reservation. We're trying to protect and preserve our natural resources, including water and the salmon, the stop mining, stop helicopter logging, whatever threatens the environment.
Well, Colville Reservation it's a huge res,
Yes.
and the timber industry is that still going on fast and furious?
It's always been the Colville's mainstay, main source of income, but there's a not much of a demand on it because of the recession and the
housing
every
collapse.
housing. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because I just remember that when we drove through, coming in from Idaho, I guess, and it's just a long little stretch until you get to the coastline there.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
it's
beautiful place. So
1.3 million acres is the south half. The north half was taken away from us in the 1890s, early 1900s.
maybe you could tell us a little bit about the traditions and the evolution of the stability of the culture as the culture is reemerging from all of that trauma.
It's reemerging mainly because our language is coming back. There are people that are learning. It's coming back very rapidly, and that's going to sustain us and bring us through this change.
Well, that's exciting to hear that the language is actually coming back. So that means that the young people are embracing the traditions.
And the dances are coming back. Spiritual practices, it's all coming back full circle the way the Creator designed it in the beginning. We've never lost it. But I thank the Creator that people like my grandfather went kind of underground with the old ways and preserved the old ways and still worshipped in the Catholic Church or whatever, that way, and sent their kids to school, but they still held on to the old ways. And now it's time that's coming out. So it's really beautiful.
And if you had a message that you would like...
I am down here. Thursday we're going for the sunrise ceremony on Alcatraz Island. And the president of Visions for Our Future, Billy Joe Bray, told me before I left that in 1891, Scholaskin, who is the chief of the San Poel, which is part of the Colville Confederation, was imprisoned at Alcatraz because he refused to give up his traditional ways. He refused to be baptized. So he was considered as a troublemaker on the Colville Reservation. So the government imprisoned him at Alcatraz in 1891. After a while, after they ripped off the north half of the Colville Reservation, then they let Scholaskin go home. So that's how they worked back then. Cruel to our elders. They tried to quash our ways. But like I said earlier, the ways are coming back now. I didn't know that. When I go to Alcatraz, I'm going to remember them. Scholastic. The prayers are working, and that's what I wanted to tell the people. Don't ever feel alone, because the ancestors are alive and well, and they're helping us. And the Creator, especially Hahatum, Sacred Mother, Mother God, wants us to pray. She said every time somebody prays on earth, she sees a light, and she wants to see more light.
All right.
Yeah.
And once again, we're speaking with.
Yvonne Swan of the Washington State, living on the Calvo Reservation. My ancestry is St. Ives, Arrow Lakes, and my father was Ojibwa, and my grandma was Assiniboine. My father's mother was Assiniboine.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here. This,
Thank you.
this is www.cycles.net live here in San Francisco with the American Indian Movement gathering that is just getting ready to get started as we sift and shift things around a little bit. And depending on what's going on, maybe we'll find someone else to speak with. Or we'll just dial in to the drummers here. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit. And in a few minutes, we're going to be getting started here at the American Indian Movement event It'll be Monday, November 22nd, Tuesday the 23rd, and Wednesday, and there'll be at the Baha'i Center on Valencia Street. There'll be a dinner, uh, and Thursday the event to Alcatraz. On Friday, they'll be showing a movie called The Fifth Gate, and I believe they're going to be having a conversation about the events happening in uh, Cancun with climate change. Today, Clyde Belcourt will be the special national guest speaker. Terry Nelson, Chief Rosa Lake Manitou First Nations Chairman, Dr. Jose Cuellar, AIM West Chairman, Yvonne Swan, who you just heard just a moment ago. And right now, our camera's here, and we have another guest with us. And maybe you can introduce yourself.
Doris Wright. I'm from Southern California. I'm from the Irish, German, English, Danish, and Scotch people. And each year I attend the American Indian Film Festival up in San Francisco. And I've been doing that for many years. And last year I had the fortune to sit next to Shirley Chichu. She's a Cree filmmaker, writer, actor from Canada. And she told me that she was starting a film school in Canada called Winglish Film Institute on Manitoba Island in Canada. And, well, it's going. They had 3 short films in this year's film festival. And they are recruiting students for their 2011 film program. They have a short film program. It's a 9-month program. They have a feature film program. It's a 9 program, and I would show you the flyers for it, but I handed them all out. Winglish Film Institute, the way, I'm not positive if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's spelled Wengusk, and then to get to the Film Institute on the website to learn about it, you would go to WEENGUS. I'm going to start that over. WEENGUSHK.com. And I think they're working hard to try to get the students, their classes full for the January program. It would be great if you were a tribal member and would send a fully funded student or donate a little extra. There's a lot of good filmmakers out here that don't have money backing to learn to make films. Also, if you know of 2 people that want to go and you don't want to go yourself, I looked at the website recently and they're giving away a free iPod or something. So they're trying to get their classes filled up. And when I met Shirley in 2009 at the film festival and sat next to her, her film Sweet Blood was the best public service documentary. It was a feature film, a full-length film. And so she won first place at the ceremony. And so I've been up here handing out information like I do everywhere about different subjects. And so that was the main thing. And then while talking about Native films, I wanted to shout out to all the tribes across the nation and say that once you see a film at a film festival, if you liked it and want to have somebody else see it, there's nowhere to watch them. They're not showing Native films most places. So I want to shout out to Indian country to develop some kind of its own network all over where you can see Native films, where there's a venue for showing Native films. It shouldn't be because it's a Native film that there's nowhere to see it. So I'm shouting out to it. And then the other thing is, my third part of that is we have 4 Indian boarding schools left in the United States. There's Shamawa in Oregon, Riverside in, Sherman Indian High School. See, I got the shirt on, Sherman Indian High School. In Riverside, California. And I think there's 2 other ones. One might be called Sherman there, too, in Oklahoma. And those kids, a lot of them probably don't have money for going to college. Let me get this stuff out of the way. For going on to college or going on to film school. I know I've been to Sherman, and a student came up with his portfolio of artwork, and I think he was seeking help or advice or some feedback on the work. So I'm shouting out to all the tribes and tribal people and other people with deep pockets. Put up some scholarships for these. Give them a scholarship. Give a couple people a scholarship from each school to go to Shirley's Film School. Help them go to other schools and colleges. And aho.
Well, wait a second before you go away. I think that's really interesting because what we're doing now is looking at doing the webcast events and recognizing that the video component really seems to lock in. Some of us old school are more radio, strictly audio kind of folks, but the youth seem to really gravitate towards having a video component to the message, and utilization of the web, the Ustream, live stream is a viable mechanism, I think, in which the young people could be posting their video work.
Oh, that's an excellent comment. And in that regard, one person here at today's AIM festival was here last year, and there was a break in the festival, and I said, hey, why don't you go up and speak? And she did. And there are on YouTube, you can watch Jean Whitehorse speak about federal impacts on the Diné people as a whole, the tribe, and on her individually. And that is a good way. Maybe that would be a way to get, if they could take some of these movies and have a website where people would allow them to be loaded up so you could show them in different places. But no, I do like radio. I love listening to radio. But
so in reference to things that are going on and the system change, not climate change. That's one of the statements here at AIM West. What are some of your thoughts for the community?
For climate change, I don't have any.
The mic. Go ahead.
Okay. On climate change, I don't have a lot to say. I know it's getting hotter, and they're paving over Mother Earth, and they're taking trees out. I know I'm from Riverside, California. It used to be called the City of the Trees, but they seem to be cutting them down and paving more. And where you could have a driveway, you could just drive onto gravel or onto dirt. They're requiring that you pave it. And to me, that all adds to the hot and use of too much water. But I think it's a problem. I notice areas are getting hotter. But he said entertain, so I'm going to go. I've been handing out a flyer. I don't know if you can see the flyer. This is the flyer I've been handing out at the film festival. And what I've been telling people is to donate, volunteer, or support community organizations. And I picked the Winglish Film Institute,
to the 42nd
Oakland Intertribal Friendship
anniversary
House,
and reunion of the American Indian
and also
Movement,
the Ogallala Commemoration
West Coast
group
Conference
in Pine Ridge.
and
I guess stop it.
we are affiliated with the American Indian Movement based in Minneapolis, and we have about 8 to 10 people flying in from there, including Clyde Belcourt, the national and co-founder of American Indian Movement. They'll be coming in this afternoon, so tomorrow morning we hope to get started much earlier, 10 o'clock. So be ready and bring some friends as well. There's a good learning experience for some of you, particularly those that haven't attended a meeting with the American Indian community or with the American Indian Movement. And we have a lot of business to cover, a lot of activities that we want to go over. And there are a lot of people here from outside of San Francisco and outside the state. And later on, we will be having regional reports from the different areas to give you an idea of the different topics, subjects, and the violations that are occurring in those areas that are prompting American Indian movement activists to challenge those issues. And that's what we're here for as well, is to share those ideas, those experiences, and together develop strategies, both short and long-term strategies on how to deal with these issues. And the focus, because we are a spiritual movement first and foremost, we move in that area, in that direction. Some of us strengthen ourselves by being involved in ceremonies. So if you haven't been involved in ceremonies and you want to be a part of American Indian movement in your area or here, it'd be good to get involved in some of the ceremonies, or certainly get familiar with some of the issues that people are involved in. Last year, Clyde Belcourt, the national director, co-founder, he suggested that we have this conference here again this year with an international tone to it, to raise consciousness and interest in other countries where indigenous peoples may have an interest in organizing a similar chapter or some center in their areas. And so with that international exposure, he also said the conference, like this one here for this week, is to help jumpstart or kick the activities in the areas, is to reestablish chapters and activities in your areas, because it, once again, first and foremost, and with the creation of American Indian movement in July of 1968, also evolved around police actions against our peoples, and the American Indian movement created an AIM patrol, and been involved in a lot of security areas for people, and as well resulting from Wounded Knee and various occupations in the 70s, where our friend and our brother and our leader, Leonard Peltier, is still in prison. And he's now 35 years going in the prison. And we have a representative from the Leonard Peltier support group here who will be sharing some strategies and ideas on how to pursue that. But I want to impress upon you who have an interest in a chapter or an affiliate of American Indian movement in your area, be assured that you will want a prisoner component in your organization. And Leonard should be prominent in that category of prisoner advocacy, prisoner rights and advocacy. We feel that part of the effort to seek the freedom of Leonard Peltier is also because we don't have that many active chapters, people directly involved, and having Leonard at the top of their agenda. So by jump-starting, kick-starting AIM chapters and affiliates, and having prisoner rights components within there, hopefully we will begin developing the Leonard Peltier campaign. And we'll talk more about the strategy for the executive clemency. So I'd like to now introduce Tony Gali to come up, and the brother is from California, and I'd like for him to lead us in a prayer, a welcoming prayer, and if you all would stand up, please. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. I'd like to speak in my own language. Aponikiha, we moishtihi. 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 Hetla, Hetla Jiska, Aju Mawi, Maktu, Makpa, me to a chan, Hetla Jiska, Aju Mawi. Ho, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. And my name, once again, is Tony Gonzalez, and I'm the director for AIM West here in San Francisco. And we will, as we are now, we're broadcasting, we're streaming around the globe on www.earthcycles.net. So tell your friends for the rest of the week. If you can't come and you have a computer, tune in so you're aware of what we're talking about and be a part of this happening here. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our special guest, Yvonne Swan, who's been with the movement a long time and has had some experiences herself. And I'd like to invite her up here. She's going to be moderating these days ahead. So, feel free to approach her and talk to her and get acquainted. And I've asked Yvonne to share experiences and talk to us about the state of the nation and what she feels is happening and what she would like to see come out of this conference as well.
Thank you, Tony. White limb, Tony. Why is quist ipat can chakansen eichkst. Why is naxil limlimt is naxil. In my language of the Eichkst Arrow Lakes Nation, I introduced myself. My grandfather named me Tsipat, and to satisfy the American, the English, the colonialists, my parents, and the priest named me Yvonne. So I go by many names, and my motherland is in Southeast British Columbia. We're fighting to repatriate the remains of our ancestors, and we're also fighting to restore our Aboriginal rights to the land. And I live in Washington now, as my parents were forced to move into Washington State, and then the border was put up, and we were kept from going back to our homeland. So that's a big struggle. And this struggle can be multiplied by as many nations as there are across the Americas, across the Western Hemisphere. We're part of Iltumhulak, we're part of Mother Earth. Nobody can separate us. Although the United States government, our enemy, thinks they can separate us from the ties to our land, they think they can discourage us from practicing our spiritual ways. They think they can stop it by taking the prayer things away from the prisoners. They take the tobacco away from the prisoners after all the hard work since the 70s to restore those religious rights, the right to worship in our own way as we were taught for ages. They're trying to cripple us that way, as they have ever since they set up business in this country. A lot of the things that are going on today remind me of the 70s. And that's when I became active after attending some American Indian movement meetings. When I went to my first meeting, I realized I wasn't alone in the way I thought. And it was wonderful. It was just wonderful, knowing I had a family, sisters and brothers who felt the same way. And I hope some of you go away today with the same feeling, where you get the direction to stand up in your own community in some way, become a part of helping your brothers and sisters, and to bring us, help each other think back to the old ways, the ways of our ancestors. Our ancestors are here today. They're right here around us. Each of you have contingent of ancestors with you. They want you to be here, or you wouldn't be here. They wanted me to be here, I wouldn't be here. They want us to honor them, to put them to rest, to help their generations that are here today and those that are yet to come. They want that. Why do they want that? Because that's their way. That's the way we were taught since we were created. And so they're very happy to see us. You'll find it when you talk to them. If you're alone, you talk to them, you'll think of them, they'll come, you'll know they're there. And they'll help you. So as days go by, as days went by in the 70s, I got this kind of help. The people came to my aid and helped me in a case that, I'm not going to talk about the case, the personal case, but they helped me in such a big way through their prayers, through organizing people, through letter campaigns, everything that anybody on the street or in their homes could do throughout this country and in other countries. And that's what I want everybody to do today, is to make a commitment to in some way help Leonard Peltier. Leonard Peltier is in there doing hard time, very hard time. He's 66 years old. He's a grandfather like some of us. I'm a grandmother, I'm a great-grandmother. He's in there representing each and every one of you simply because he loves this earth and he loves his people and he loves the old ways. And he knows justice. And he stood up every chance he got when he was out here. He stood up for you and me, the people. And they tried to break his back because they wanted to break the back of the American Indian movement. They wanted to break the spirit. We're political prisoners because we are under this system and have very little control. Even though I'm able to walk, I'm still imprisoned by the colonial attitude, by the white man's laws. They have me, every time I turn around, I'm doing something. Today, the word of the millennium should be decolonization. We've got to undo what the colonizers put into our minds. They put standards in there. They impose their ways on us. They impose their laws on us. And we've got to free ourselves from that. We've got to say no to that. We've got to wake up from that trance of colonization and say no. I resist. You're in the right if you do that, because you're on the side of the Creator if you do that. And if you do that, you cannot lose. I'm also here on behalf of women. I'm a woman of this earth. And I was taught a lot of things about the role of women, mainly to take care of the family, to take care of the future generations, to see that everything is in order so that everyone is safe. It's disheartening because last night I learned that there's a woman, a very famous woman, who finally divulged that she'd been a battered woman for years, and it breaks my heart. I want all of you to say a prayer for her. Her name is Irene Bedard, the actress in Hollywood who did the voice for Pocahontas, and she was in other movies. I just received an email on that. I ask you for your prayers. I ask you to talk to Hahatum, Sacred Mother, to help Irene Bedard get her son back, and to stop that man from persecuting her in court. He battered her for years, and now he's battering her in the legal system. Multiply that by a lot of women in this country and in the Western Hemisphere, and that has got to stop. As a woman, I say stop it. Stop and think. Think what a woman is. A woman is very sacred. So tomorrow during the panel, it's going to be a good panel. We're going to talk about the role of women, the respect that is taught to us, and ways that we can help each other. I applaud the men who come up and tell me that women are sacred, that women, they help the women. They help us sisters. Where I'm staying here in San Francisco, this man treats me just really with good respect. I love it because that's the way, the old way. And the grandmas love it. The great grandmas, the ancestors, they love it. They love to see that too. So the other one